I knew the storm had landed when my keycard stopped working before I even reached the second floor server room. No warning, no heads up, just that cheery red blink from the scanner like it was smirking at me. Then came the quick sync meeting invite from HR. Tuesday, 9 o'clock a.m. Subject line, organizational alignment opportunity. I've seen enough corporate euphemisms to know when you're being served your job on a paper plate with a plastic fork. I walk into the conference room, still holding my coffee like maybe if I sip it slow enough, they won't say it. But of course, they do. In that fake perky HR tone, like they're offering you a spa day and not kicking your livelihood out from under you. We're streamlining for efficiency, they say. Like efficiency's a goddamn virtue when it means replacing 8 years of knowledge with 3 interns and a Slack channel. My role has been absorbed, not replaced. Just split up and scattered into the corporate ether like confetti. They hand me a packet labeled separation terms and a $2,000 severance check, like that's supposed to cover 8 years of sleepless upgrades, weekend fire drills, calming down executives who thought Amazon S3 was a new kind of smoothie. 2 weeks. That's what loyalty is worth now. I don't cry, I don't argue. I just sit there, blinking through it all like someone watching their own funeral on mute. And then I smile. Not a warm smile, mind you. That tight-lipped, dead-eyed customer service smile I save for people who deserve to trip over their own shoelaces in a parking lot. Thanks for the opportunity, I say, which is HR speak for may your spreadsheets always crash 5 minutes before deadline. I pack my things, my plants, my mug, the desk lamp I bought myself when they told me there wasn't budget for one, but I leave one thing behind, access. Because no one asked for a handover. No one asked who owns the root level credentials. No one remembered I built the cloud infrastructure from scratch, on nights, weekends, holidays, sometimes from my damn bathtub with a laptop balanced on a towel rack. They never asked where the alerts go, or who configured the firewall, or who still holds the admin key that can shut it all down with one command. And that's the funny part. As I'm standing there, in the elevator lobby with my cardboard box and my 47-cent severance per hour smile, my phone buzzes. It's a server alert from 6 minutes ago. Still coming to my personal inbox. Still routed through the contact protocol I set up 5 years ago when our VP couldn't remember his own password and cried during a phishing simulation. You know what's wild? Almost 97% of folks listening to stories like this never hit that subscribe button. You're already here, already sipping the tea. Help me get to my first 10,000 subscribers so I can keep telling stories like this one. Not asking for much, just a lil digital high five that makes the algorithm gods smile. Back in my apartment, I pour a drink at noon and watch as another alert pops in. This one's a disk space threshold warning on the client DB server. They're trying to reroute storage, badly. I laugh so hard I nearly choke on my ice cube. I open my terminal. Everything still runs through me, and I do? Nothing, not yet. The day after the layoff. I woke up at 10 a.m. for the first time in 8 years and didn't hate myself for it. My inbox was already peppered with alerts from systems I no longer officially managed. Memory thresholds, IP conflicts, some jackass trying to run a recursive backup on a live node. All the stuff that used to send me sprinting into the office bathroom just to scream silently into my sweater. Except now, I didn't have to fix it. I wasn't paid to. Wasn't even supposed to. But here it was anyway, my old life still pinging my inbox like a clingy ex who thinks we can still be friends. I opened up the admin console on instinct. My access, fully intact. Still the primary contact, still the top-level root, still the only one with encryption token privileges. They never scrubbed me from the owner registry, never even switched out the backup keys. Either they forgot, or they assumed I'd just fade quietly into the Ethernet. Typical. I didn't touch a damn thing. Just sat there in my robe, drinking gas station coffee like it was champagne, scrolling through diagnostics and watching the blinking red indicators pile up like little corporate heart attacks. There's a special kind of serenity in knowing the whole thing could collapse if you so much as breathe on it, but choosing not to. Like watching a toddler juggle knives and whispering, "You got this, champ." There was something healing about it, not revenge. Not yet. Just presence, the calm after the slap. I bookmarked the dashboard in a folder I named Ghost Town. Set the tab icon to a little skull emoji. Every morning I checked it the way some folks check horoscopes. What fresh disaster has the universe brewed for them today? DNS entries were getting tangled. Someone tried and failed to migrate dev servers without updating certs. The finance node's last full backup was still timestamped 2 days before they booted me. Classic, I didn't feel rage anymore. Not exactly. It was more like controlled burn. The fire was there, sure, but I was the one holding the hose, and no one else even knew the building was starting to smolder. I joined a Slack channel for freelance sysadmins, cleaned up my resume, added a few tasteful lines about legacy system transitions and cloud-native architecture leadership. Nothing fancy, just enough bait for a smart fish. Every once in a while, I'd see my old company's name on LinkedIn, still posting cheery hiring announcements, still pretending their IT team hadn't just been Frankensteined out of help desk interns and old Jira tickets. They never emailed, never followed up, Never asked if I could do a formal handoff or transition doc. They assumed it was all handled. That's the thing about efficiency. Sometimes it's just a fancy way of saying, we're too stupid to realize who was keeping the lights on. So I watched, didn't breathe on a thing, just let the alerts pile up. Just let the silence stretch. 4 weeks post-firing, and the dashboard looked like a haunted amusement park. Lights blinking in the wrong places. Warnings stacking like unpaid parking tickets. CPU load on the client analytics node was spiking so hard it looked like someone had set up a Bitcoin mining operation on accident, or worse, on purpose. Whoever inherited my systems was either brave, dumb, or one of those I watched 2 YouTube videos, and now I'm a DevOps guru types. The logs were pure slapstick. Someone tried to streamline the backup cycle by disabling redundancy. Another genius deleted an instance of the audit trail database, then recreated it from a 2-month-old dev clone without reconciling the live schema. They were basically trying to play Jenga with a server farm, while drunk. On rollerblades, I was eating leftover pad thai in sweatpants when the real gem landed. Subject line, urgent, unable to access root-level functions. Please escalate. It came from their internal Jira system. But the destination? Still routed through the old escalation protocol I'd written back in the prehistoric days, back when nobody knew what cloud orchestration meant unless I explained it on a whiteboard with a Sharpie and tears. Because some lazy junior left the fallback email entry untouched, guess where the ticket landed? Right in my personal inbox. Timestamp 3:42 a.m. Because of course, the server broke in the middle of the damn night, and because they had no root access, and because someone probably tried to overwrite a credentials file with a JSON copy they found in an old Slack thread. I reread the ticket twice just for flavor. Immediate assistance required. Client dashboard access is down. Internal reset failed, escalating to Tier 3. Tier 3, huh? That used to be me. They even CC'd a manager. I remembered Tony, the guy who once asked me if firewalls were optional if you trust your team. I took another bite of cold noodles. Let the silence sink in. Then very slowly I dragged the ticket into a folder marked archived lol. Didn't reply, didn't forward, didn't delete, just kept it, like a trophy. I could practically hear the panic behind that subject line. Someone in that office had just realized the keys to the kingdom weren't in their hands. They were in mine, still, and I hadn't so much as changed a password. I didn't have to. They'd done it to themselves, tripped over the wire, then blamed the dark. I refreshed the dashboard just to watch them scramble. Another alert hit. Cloud object storage limit exceeded. Idiots were hoarding redundant media files again. One had changed the auto-purge policy to never delete. Bless their hearts. I poured a drink. Laughed. Archived that one too. Power doesn't always have to shout. Sometimes it just sips bourbon, reads error logs like bedtime stories, and lets incompetence do the dirty work. There's a special kind of satisfaction in clicking submit application to the one company your old boss used to trash at every quarterly meeting. They're bleeding clients, he'd say, puffed up like a middle manager peacock. Legacy codebase, weak cloud pipeline, no vision. Right. Well, guess who just opened a senior systems architect position with remote flexibility and a salary that made my old paycheck look like a punchline? I tightened up my resume, sprinkled in just enough salt to taste, decommissioned redundant systems, streamlined hybrid cloud architecture, developed proprietary admin routing protocols. That last one was the dagger in the ribs, and they wouldn't even know it. Interview came fast. CTO himself. Black t-shirt, neckbeard, camera off, exactly the kind of guy who smells like yerba mate and thinks Vim is a personality trait. But sharp. Listened when I spoke. Didn't mansplain REST APIs or interrupt to ask if I'd ever configured a load balancer in real life. Then he leaned back in his virtual chair and said, "Tell me about your last gig." I gave him the curated version. 8 years, built it from the ground up. Systems ran clean until they didn't. He smirked. "Let me guess, they replaced you with?" "Templates, close," I said. "They decided to optimize with a cross-functional approach. Put a design intern in charge of IAM." That made him laugh like real laugh, hand over mouth, had to mute himself laugh. I leaned in a little, dropped the kicker. Funny thing is, I still get some of their server alerts. As nobody updated the routing logic I built. But hey, who's counting? He didn't ask follow-up, didn't need to. That grin said everything that he knew that they all knew. My old company had been stumbling across the industry like a drunk in a hall of mirrors, and here I was, walking in sober. Offer came same day, 20% bump in salary, signing bonus, zero micromanagement, full stack infrastructure leadership on my terms, and the best part, the job wasn't just sweet revenge. It was respect. No more being talked over in meetings by guys who thought root access was a euphemism. No more patching security holes after hours because someone installed a sketchy plugin from Reddit. No more watching clueless execs dismantle years of stability like toddlers with a hammer. My new boss called me a rare find. I told him I was just tired of cleaning up after stupid. That night, I opened the old dashboard again. Same blinking alerts, same stupid errors, same silent inbox full of desperation tickets marked urgent. But now I was busy. It started with a LinkedIn post from Mark, one of the last decent engineers still tethered to that sinking cruise ship of a company. Just a photo of his dog and a caption. Some weeks are tougher than others. Hug your pets. Translation. Servers are on fire and someone probably triggered a rollback without versioning the data. Then came the text from Carla, ex-project manager, chronic overscheduler, queen of passive-aggressive Jira comments. Hey Julia, hope you're well. Quick cue, do you happen to still have access to the server credentials for the finance environment? No one seems to be able to reach the backups. I didn't answer. I didn't even leave it on read. Just watched the typing dot stutter like a dying heartbeat and vanish. She never followed up. Then Chris, who once accidentally deleted a shared folder labeled Q3 payroll final, messaged me on Signal of all places. Not sure if this is still your number. We've got an issue with client portals not authenticating. Legal's breathing down our necks. Can you please just reset the credentials? He even used the word please. That was new. Last time I saw him, he called me overly territorial for locking down root access like it was a nuclear silo. Guess it turns out the button is red for a reason. Still didn't reply. Because here's the thing, they had every chance to make a clean break. To say, hey Julia, can we schedule a proper handover? To acknowledge that 8 years of tribal knowledge doesn't fit inside a Slack export and a Google Drive folder marked documentation, whip. But they didn't. It cut me loose like an expired password. So I let them float, right into the riptide. I heard through the grapevine they hired a contractor off Fiverr to try and clean up the code. Poor soul didn't even last a week. Apparently tried to migrate LiveAuth tokens without realizing they were dynamically generated per session and tied to a phantom proxy node. Real bleeding-edge genius stuff. Payroll broke next. Auto-sync between the HR system and the banking API stopped firing. Employees started getting paid wrong, some not at all. Morale cratered. Rumor was a few devs staged a mini walkout, didn't quit. Just went ghost during work hours, like digital sabotage in slow motion. Then the big one, client accounts went dark. Authentication failures across the board. One of their biggest contracts, an insurance firm with zero patience for downtime, locked them out of their admin dashboard and issued a formal warning. The kind that spells breach of SLA in all caps. Word got around fast. Every IT consulting firm in the city got a version of the same email. Urgent need, senior infrastructure specialist, immediate start, prior experience with hybrid cloud preferred. They were tossing out lifelines, hoping anyone could swim, but not me. I had a new job, a new chair, new setup with mechanical keys that clicked like applause every time I wrote something beautiful. And every night before bed, I opened that old inbox. The tickets kept coming, and I kept archiving. Thursday morning, rain smacking the window like it was trying to knock. I had Miles Davis on low and a mug of coffee that didn't taste like panic. For once, no server alerts, no deployment gone wrong, no fire to put out before 9 a.m., just me. Quiet apartment and a to-do list that wasn't scrawled in someone else's blood. Then it hit. Subject line, escalated to Tier 3 legal risk. Timestamp 4:47 a.m. Severity, RED origin, corporatin for Atold company. Calm destination, me, still me, always me. I stared at it for a moment like it was a ghost that walked back into the room wearing my name. The body of the ticket was a word salad of desperation. Unable to verify data restoration point for Q2 archives. Client SLA breach likely. Pending litigation possible if data not recovered within 48 hours. Immediate Tier 3 escalation. System admin contact unavailable. Root access required. My name wasn't in the email, but I felt it. Like heat from a stove you didn't know was on. This wasn't a system crash. This was a lawsuit countdown. Someone somewhere had royally screwed the pooch, probably tried to rebuild a data cluster using a staging snapshot and corrupted the client logs. And now legal was circling. Because once contracts get breached, it's not just about uptime anymore, it's about trust, liability, dollars and knives on the table. I didn't reply. I clicked print. My wireless printer hummed to life like it knew this was special. Highlighter in hand. I went old school, yellow across pending litigation. Pink over root access required. Orange around admin contact unavailable. Then I slid it into a black folder, dead center between credential requests ignored and Slack begging compilation. Label on the front, why you don't fire quiet women. See, they thought silence meant surrender, that walking out without drama meant I had nothing left to say. But silence isn't weakness, it's preparation. It's the slow sip before the storm. They fired me like I was a keystroke, delete and done. But I was a root process, running quiet, watching everything. The silence had become its own kind of gravity. Every day they didn't hear from me, the weight got heavier. Every failed recovery attempt, every jittery email from legal, every whispered does anyone know how this used to work. They were being buried by the same silence they handed me in a conference room with fake smiles and 2 weeks severance. I could have reached out, could have offered to consult, but I was done offering. Now I collect, not payment, proof, and they keep sending it, one urgent ticket at a time. The post hit LinkedIn like a depth charge. After thoughtful consideration, we've decided to transition to a new infrastructure partner due to repeated service interruptions. Appreciate our former vendors' efforts and wish them the best moving forward. No name, no finger pointing, just corporate obituary phrasing for "we've had enough of your bullshit" and "our patients died last Thursday at 3:16 p.m." The company that posted it? Grayson Mutual, one of the oldest, prickliest insurance firms in the region. The kind of client who reads terms of service like scripture and files escalation tickets in triplicate. Kind of client who doesn't change vendors lightly. And I remembered onboarding them. 3 years ago, they came to us with a mess of on-prem servers and a CTO who thought cloud migration meant uploading everything to Dropbox. I built their pipeline from scratch, gave them failover redundancy, streamlined backup logic, real-time sync. I handheld that entire transition like a midwife pulling data through the birth canal. And now they were gone. Publicly. It didn't take long for the dominoes to fall. Internal Slack messages leaked, panicked threads about lost database connections, and backup authentication tokens that no longer resolved. Screenshots of group chats with the CTO yelling in all caps, "Why are we down? Fix this now." Then the website went offline. Full white screen. No redirect, no cached landing page, just 404 shaped failure. Social media manager tweeted something cute about scheduled maintenance, but nobody was buying it. Uptime monitors showed the site had gone down hard and not gracefully. Probably someone tried to reboot the container and ended up nuking half the DNS records. That was the last straw. Not for them, for me. I opened my laptop, composed a short, surgical email to a contact at Grayson, the same one who once sent me a fruit basket for walking her team through a particularly ugly S3 migration. Subject, available for consultation. Hi Taylor, saw the transition news. If you ever need infrastructure recovery advice or just someone who knows where the bodies are buried, I'm happy to consult. No pressure, of course. Hope you're well. Warmly, Julia. No attachments. No resume. Just an open door and a subtle nudge that the person they needed wasn't sitting in a glass tower pretending to be a sysadmin with a Google search tab open. Within 10 minutes, the email was marked read. Within 30, I had a reply, "Let's talk Monday." I didn't gloat, didn't screenshot it or blast it in a group chat. I just smiled. Quiet, measured, like a storm system watching the radar light up red while sipping wine from a safe distance. Because by now, my silence wasn't passive. It was tactical. It was leverage. And every second they spent spiraling, every client they lost, every ticket they escalated into the void, they were finally feeling what it's like to be ignored. To scream into the abyss and have the abyss hit archive. The email came in with the fake professionalism only HR can conjure when they're writing through gritted teeth. Subject line, consulting opportunity urgent, like they were doing me a favor. Hi Julia. Reaching out to explore the possibility of a short-term consulting engagement related to system continuity and infrastructure recovery. Your historical familiarity with our cloud environment may prove valuable in restoring operational efficiency. Please let us know your availability to discuss potential next steps. Translation: everything's broken, legal is screaming, and you're the only one who can unfuck it. No apology. No acknowledgement. Not even a "we may have made a mistake." Just corporate crocodile tears typed in Arial 11. I waited 2 hours, just enough time to let the silence stretch, but not long enough for them to think I was hesitant. Then I replied, "My rate is $15,000/day paid upfront. I do not guarantee results. I will not sign an NDA. I will not assume liability for prior mismanagement. I'll work remote, maximum 2 days. Let me know if that aligns with your budget. No best regards. No emojis, no fluff." They didn't respond right away. But I imagined the HR Slack channel lighting up like a panic disco. "Is this real? Can we negotiate? Do we even have 15 grand a day?" They balked, obviously, and I shrugged. Obviously, because I wasn't waiting for them. Later that night, I was sipping a Manhattan in a low-lit corner booth when my new boss walked in. A CTO who actually knows what a container is and doesn't treat women in tech like exotic pets. He smiled, dropped his phone on the table, and said, "I saw that Grayson contract. Nice work." I raised my glass, "Told you I knew where the bodies were buried." He laughed and flagged down the waiter, "Steaks on me tonight?" "Hell, you want dessert first, I'll make it happen." And there, in that booth with good whiskey, a medium-rare ribeye, and someone who finally got it. I felt it settle deep in my bones. Power. Not the kind you chase with titles or beg for in performance reviews, but the kind you earn in silence. The kind that walks away and makes them follow. It ended the same way it began, quietly. Calendar ping, June 15th. The final clause of my severance agreement officially expired at midnight. Legal muzzle they gave me in exchange for 2 weeks of hush money was now just a PDF gathering dust in my Google Drive. So I made a little ritual of it, woke up early, put on the same cardigan I wore the day they fired me, still smelled faintly of stale coffee and bad decisions, brewed a fresh pot, sat down at my desk, cracked my knuckles, opened the admin console one last time, not to change anything, not to crash their servers or sabotage backups, just to end the tether. One by one, I disabled every legacy alert tied to my name. Server health, CPU load, cloud billing, SSL renewals, firewall pings, IAM resets, all those tiny beacons that had flickered into my inbox for years, long after they'd shown me the door. Gone. Then I pulled up the routing list, found my email still listed as the fallback admin on Tier 3 emergencies, and hit delete. System didn't even prompt me for confirmation. Just click and I was gone. They were now completely alone in the house they burned down. No smoke detectors, no keys, no map. And then, as if on cue, I got the final piece of the story. News alert from Tech Insider. Breaking. Midvale Tech Solutions announces strategic merger with Riverton Group following months of internal instability. Executives call the deal a fresh chapter. Fresh chapter. That's what they're calling surrender now. I read the article, twice. Skimmed past the fluff about synergies and enhanced verticals. Buried in the third paragraph was the real confession. Sources close to the deal cite persistent infrastructure issues and high-profile client losses as contributing factors to the merger. No one mentioned my name, of course not. But I saw my fingerprints in every sentence. That failed merger wasn't the work of sabotage. It was the work of silence. They underestimated me, dismissed me, fired me for being inefficient, and then slowly, methodically, they drowned in the hole they never bothered to see me holding shut. I closed the article, closed the console, closed the laptop, leaned back in my chair and exhaled. Not revenge, not rage, just peace. The kind that only comes when you stop proving your worth and start letting the consequences speak for themselves. And somewhere in a boardroom, a new exec is probably asking, wait, who set up this system? Too late. The quiet woman left the building, and she took the oxygen with her. Big thanks for watching, you sneaky seniors. Subscribe to keep the coffee pot brewing revenge. Your ex-colleagues won't know what hit him.